And welcome to the M2 Podcast. I'm your host, MadMikeWillEatU. My co-host right here is KyleHeath. This is the show where we cover esports and personalities, gaming industry-related news, new and upcoming games, and technology innovation for the week. And what we like to do at the start of every single show, if you haven't ever seen or heard of us before, is do a little recap of what we've been up to. So, Kyle, what have you been doing, man?
Oh, dude. Busy week. What can I say? One of the busier weeks I've had in a long time.
Yeah?
But we're hanging in there. We're chilling. Doing stuff. I wanted to get on Hogwarts Legacy this week. Unfortunately, I did not. Very unfortunate. Rest in peace, Peace. Also, first week without a Last of Us episode. Didn't know what to do on Sunday night, but,
That's
we in
true.
there. Yes, that was a thing. Trying to think if I really had time to play anything this week. And I don't know. I think the answer is no. However, I did see the Smite patch notes for their. I think they do like monthly updates. Saw the patch notes for that. After many years, they're finally doing an overhaul to the in-game UI. So I definitely want to jump back in and see all that because it looks very clean now. Good to see. Good to see devs, taking something that may not be a priority and they just give it, and they don't necessarily have to dedicate a whole a short time period to it, but it's something they develop over a long period of time, which it seems like is what they did with this UI. They kind of just it was something they kind of had on the back burner for a while, but they were working on it. It just wasn't their main priority, and so to see the fruit of that labor is exciting, I think. So, yeah, definitely probably diving into that at some point. I'm trying to remember if I had talked about I don't know if I think I had talked to you in a group chat. I think if I played anything with Saints Row, I'm dude, each day feels like a year right now. So it's I can't remember if I mentioned last week or not. But yeah, I mean, I did get some Saints Row in. Unfortunately, the game came out end of August, right? So
Yeah.
we are currently end of March the following year. Still riddled with bugs. I feel as though I don't feel as though it's very clear to me that support just kind of there's not a priority at this point. So it kind of just dropped off, yeah. Which is what it is. It didn't perform how they wanted, and frankly, it was it seemed like somewhat of a rush job anyway in terms of story. So no surprise there, I guess. But I'm not gonna lie, it was still a lot of fun, and I laughed a lot, and I mean a lot, at some of the bugs we ran into, because it's just, again, the bugs, one of the bugs we found was that we loaded after, we aborted a mission, or we loaded after a mission into the world, and when we loaded in, it was none of the cars in the world were moving at all, and then we tried to do a side mission, and the side mission, it's a little side mission, it's called insurance fraud, and the idea is that there's a bunch of oncoming traffic, and you're just supposed to run into it and try and rack up as much of a medical bill as possible, kind of thing. So that mission entirely relies on cars speeding towards you and you hurtling over and running into them and stuff, but no,
you can't do it.
Yeah, no cars are moving. The bypass to it was you could essentially jump, and it would trick it into thinking oh, okay, you're flying, or you're flailing, so you would jump and then you'd fly into cars and you kind of bounce and chain react, but it was you're bouncing off stationary cars, so it was all broken. Yeah, it just wasn't right. And we look up the mission and we see how it looks proper, and it's oh yeah, it's supposed to be 100-mile-an-hour traffic coming at you at all times, and you're supposed to be running into it, but it's just not the case when you're playing.
It sounds like you're supposed to be playing Frogger, but everything's frozen.
Yeah, it's it's kind of wild. So that was but it's one of those things too. It's it's so weird that no cars were moving. It's I've never played an open world game where I've had that kind of bug where it's just none of the cars are working. So
that is a really weird bug, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a lot of little things like that. Ran into some other stuff. I know at one point I laughed for a solid 10 minutes. We were crying of laughter because my running animation bugged out, and my calves were kicking, essentially kicking right behind my butt. So it's I'm just running this weird awkward X motion. And dude, it was so funny though, because it just looked so derpy. And so we're just sitting there, literally crying of laughter. But I mean, stuff like that's always funny, and we got a kick out of that. But it's like then you get to the game breaking stuff, and it's like that's when you like kind of get pulled out a little bit, and so you're like, all right, well, do I reload the save? Do I reload the game and try and fix it, or I just call it a night? Eventually got to a point where we ran into so much stuff, we're just like, yeah, let's just try again another day, kind of thing. So, yeah, but we're still determined to complete that game. I don't think we have much left, so we're still on a mission to try and finish that. But yeah, pretty funny. 6, 7, 8 months later, you're still having problems. So.
I mean, I'm a Halo fan, so I can relate. Speaking of animations, did you ever play Halo CE Combat Evolved? Even now, if you play the Master Chief Collection, you've ever played Halo 1?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Did you ever notice?
Obviously, but yeah.
You ever notice the weird running animations that they had?
I think so. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like some people notice it, but it's basically like the animation for running fast is the only animation that they accounted for. So if you walk slowly, your character's running at full speed. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's so goofy. But if you like crouch walk, it's fine. But that game's different entirely.
Yeah.
You just reminded me of that with your goofy calf running layouts.
I of course I recorded it all. I'll have to like send you the footage at some point because it's hilarious.
Sure,
like we're
please.
just sitting there running and it's just it's funny. But yeah, so ran into that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think it was really like all I got around to this week was trying out getting back on Saints Row. It was the first actual game besides Minecraft I actually got to like test out my new graphics card on too. And I had everything cranked and it ran really well. So I was like, I'm
that's
really happy to. I mean, it's 1080 of course, but everything ran like it looked really good. I think graphically it looks really good, but yeah, it's there was of course like popping and stuff, but but these games that's kind of expected. But yeah, I mean, other than that, graphically it looked great and my PC held up, no issues. So that's exciting to know that the used hardware I got is stable. So always good to see that.
That's always good.
But yeah, other than that, I don't think I did any other gaming this week. I don't know, Mike. Mike, did you have a chance to game more than I did? I hope so.
Kind of. I think I did a little bit of different gaming, right? So I did something that was like a complete throwback, right? Friday after work, my buddy and we had him on the show, Gunshot. If anybody wants to go check out a Halo Pro and get an interview, he was a friend of the show, Gunshot. Him and I went down and we were looking for some old like classic games like N64, GameCube, Wii, original Xbox, whatever we could find that would actually be of value. I personally was trying to find a Guitar Hero controller because there's something called Clone Hero, which came out in like 2017 that I just recently found out about or recently started to care about, I guess. Maybe I heard about it, I don't know. But Clone Hero is Guitar Hero, Rock Band, all that stuff combined, but it's like open source and it's free and people create their own tracks. So my whole objective with like going to these old classic stores where they're playing like Magic the Gathering there, and like just trying to find a Guitar Hero controller because everybody threw those out like back in the day. It was just taking up space. So we went checked out like 3 stores. He got a steal, man. I didn't get it personally because I have no use for it, but he got he got 2 things. They were the same game. One was open, one was still sealed. Okay. So he got Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker for the Wii U, the gold wrapping, which goes for like over $100 on eBay, unsealed, sealed in the casings, wrapped like manufacturer style, never opened.
That's wild.
It was insane that he found it because he was just like, I want the game because I want to play it. And then he gets it. Yeah, he gets it. $44, by the way. He gets it, opens it up and stuff like that. And like, he didn't open it. He opened off their wrapping because they have like 2 different wrappings. They have manufacturer wrapping and then they have like the store wrapping. So he ripped off the store wrapping. And then he looks at it and he goes, dude, I think this is like actually from the factory, like never been used. And I'm like, that's definitely never been used, man. And he's like, well, there's another one over there that's half the price. So he goes and he buys that one. And then we're like driving back to his place. And he's like eBaying looking at the
Yeah.
prices. He goes, "Dude, this is like 3 times the value of what it should be. This is crazy."
Yeah, that's funny.
So, yeah, so for me personally, like games, I've been working on myself, physically because like, I've been in pain through, like sciatic stuff that I've been
Yeah.
dealing with,
Yeah.
and I think I finally fixed it today or yesterday, so I'm feeling pretty good.
There you go.
That's why if you guys watch the video, I'm always standing. So,
Mm.
it's like my back's killing me, so I'm trying to, like, level it out and level myself. Um, but in terms of gaming, it's like I finally got the emulator set up for the Xbox Series X, like NES, SNES, N64, GameCube, and Game Boy Advance. Like I got all that stuff ready to go, and I'm really excited about it. In terms of actual playing, I played Halo Infinite for the first time in like 2 months because we have a big team battle event coming on, and Crazy Miller, another friend of the show, another interview podcast episode. He's dragging me into this event, so I'm like, well, I got to install the game. I got to see if I can still play.
Yeah. Yeah. Be
And
nice
I was
to
just
make sure.
running through people in the matchmaking, dude, just
There you
destroying.
go. There you go.
Um,
Check this man's Twitter. I'll leave it at that.
yeah, I'm basically being a little toxic. I'm plat farming, impression farming, I think is what it's called. But outside that, man, like really not much is going on. Not much of what I've been doing is like really been gaming. It's just mostly like IRL stuff, trying to get my life in order, organized. But make no mistake, I'm gonna start playing, maybe even streaming the rest of these single player games I mentioned last week's episode that I've like really wanted to finish up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be starting with at least Call of Duty first. I want to finish that. I don't think I have much longer. I want to get a couple of friends, do Back for Blood. If you're interested in doing that, Kyle, more than welcome to join me.
Word.
Um, yeah, we'll see.
See the
But that's
schedule.
about it for
Yeah.
me, man.
Okay. Okay. Got some gaming in. Love to see it. Yeah.
Yes.
Hoping to get some more in myself this week. But we'll see. How the schedule pans out.
Yeah, you better be playing more games than me this week. I'm gonna be pretty busy.
All right.
So I'm gonna check you next week.
Challenge.
But for this week, why don't we get into this week's episode?
Oh,
An actual reviewing.
killer transition, from the dude. Okay. I like that.
Yes, sir.
I like that. Well, we have a bit of a downer. If you haven't already read the article, if you're watching the video. But hey, we gotta
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
talk about it. Amazon's latest layoffs cut 9,000 more jobs and divisions, including Twitch and AWS. Oh, Amazon's cutting more jobs, man. We get so many of these tech giants. It's like 10,000 jobs here, another 10,000. Amazon, I'm pretty sure it was like 10,000. That was another 9,000. Regardless, Amazon's latest round of layoffs adds to the 18,000 job cuts that have already been announced. Divisions impacting the latest round include HR, AWS, advertising, and Twitch. Originally, when I found this article, by the way, I originally ran into the 400 jobs were cut from Twitch, but then I later found out that was part of a broader cut from Amazon, the parent company.
Yeah.
So Amazon is laying off another 9,000 workers, according to a memo to employees CEO Andy Jassy sent to Jassy, probably Jassy.
Probably Jassy because
You know.
it's a J.
Yeah.
But it could be Gassy. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, who knows, man. Anyways, Andy sent to workers on Monday. The employees affected by the cut include those in roles at AWS, Twitch, advertising, and HR. In this memo, Jassy cites the uncertain economy as a reason for the cuts and says the company has, quote, chosen to be more streamlined in our costs and headcount. I feel like we hear that rhetoric all too well.
Oh
These
my!
job
That's
cuts,
why I shook my head the moment you
Like-
said uncertain economy. It's like every company's been saying that uncertain economy. Shake your heads. Like, come on, man. Just be real with people.
For real, man. Amazon just got done laying off a total of 18,000 people across the company late last year, and in January, which included workers in its hardware and services, human resources, and retail teams. The overriding tenet of our annual planning this year was to be leaner while doing so in a way that enables us to still invest robustly in the key long-term customer experiences that we believe can meaningfully improve customers' lives and Amazon as a whole. Again, I mean, how much more generic can I get, Mike? You know what I'm saying? How much more like
I don't know, man.
throw buzzword here, buzzword there? I think this is gonna really help the company, you know?
Blah
Crazy.
blah blah. Please don't pull out your stocks of Amazon. That kind of stuff.
This also comes just days after the Twitch CEO Emmett Shear resigned from his position, although it's unclear whether that was related to the job cuts. I don't believe it was personally, but Shear,
No, it definitely
Shear will
wasn't.
still remain at the company in the advisory role. Just over 400 people were affected by the cuts, according to a blog post by CEO Dan Clancy. As Twitch continues to evolve, recent changes to the way it splits the revenue with streamers have left some feeling frustrated, to say the least, while some of the platform's top streamers have swapped to game streaming rivals like YouTube. Ain't that the truth, Mike? Got people leaving for other platforms.
There are more options now, more than ever. I feel like.
Definitely. Clancy said, like many companies, our business has been impacted by the current macroeconomic environment, and user and revenue growth has not kept pace with our expectations. In order to run our business sustainably, we've made the very difficult decision to shrink the size of our workforce. That is, bro. It's just a weird way of saying that. Yeah, we laid people off. We cut jobs. We sent them home. You know what I'm saying? We do. Well, if they're already home, we told them to turn their laptops in. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah.
When we asked for additional details, Twitch spokesperson Samantha Fought declined to comment and directed us to Clancy's blog post. Oof. You know what I'm saying? Verge can't get more details. You can see it.
I would do the same, to be honest.
Yeah. Guess you can't blame him. It says, according to, I'll skip a little bit. It says, according to the memo, the impact teams still haven't made their final decisions on which employees to cut. The company's goal is to make these decisions by mid to late April and notify employees from there. Affected employees will receive severance pay. That's good. Transitional health insurance and external job placement support. All good things, right? You know, it's at least the best you can make out of a bad situation like that. The fourth quarter of 2022 is Amazon's worst Q4 yet, with the company reporting its first net loss since 2014 at $2.7 billion for the entire year, which is so crazy to hear a number like $2.7 billion and that to be an overall net loss. That's wild. It's just how big Amazon is, you know?
Well, I mean, when you're dealing with like how much worth does Amazon have? Like, it's got to be hundreds of billions,
Oh yeah,
right?
at this point, trillions maybe.
Like,
You know, could be
no,
getting
it's
there.
not trillion.
I mean, we could be
Oh
getting
my
there. You know what I'm saying?
god!
So I don't
Oh
know.
my Jesus! Okay, so it's 514 billion revenue of last year. Okay, but market capitalization in the stock market is 1 trillion, 1.01 trillion.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
How old
so
am I?
not the same, but the revenue, yeah, 500 billion. So I mean, it kind of makes sense. It was an off year. It was a rough year.
Yeah,
2.7 billion to that percentage. I mean,
yeah,
that's just a bad quarter
yeah.
for anybody.
True. Amazon has made a number of cost-cutting moves in recent months, including suspending the construction on its second headquarters in Arlington, Virginia. That's actually crazy. Their headquarters are their second one's gonna be in Arlington. Interesting spot.
It's next to DC.
That is it's right there.
Yeah,
Huh.
right there, man.
Think there's a reason why they went next to DC.
Oh, 100%. When they made that, let's not get political on this show. We're just gamers, okay? But it has a lot to do with who was in office and what was going down during the purchasing period of that.
Makes sense. Shuttering some of its physical ghost stores and halting the expansion of its fresh stores, which I think, ultimately that makes sense. They're trying to cut costs. Well, let's just get rid of the physical stuff that we're trying to push out.
Yeah.
The e-commerce giant isn't the only major company contending with financial issues and layoffs amidst a rocky economy. Meta, Microsoft, and Google, which we've covered on the show over the past 6+ months, have also been laying off tens of thousands of workers. So certainly a trend, an unfortunate one, but a trend. Jesse says, I remain very optimistic about the future and the myriad of opportunities we have, both in our largest businesses, stores, and AWS, and our new customer experiences and businesses in which we're investing. Well, of course, you're still going to be optimistic, right? What if they came out and said, oh no, we're going down, ship's going down, pessimistic, ain't gonna, Ain't never gonna say
That
that.
ain't never happening,
Of
dude.
course they're gonna remain optimistic. Anyways,
You're not in that position if you're not optimistic. Like,
that's exactly it.
let's be real. Let's be real. Um,
Exactly it. I mean, Mike, you see this, you hear all this, mumbo jumbo, and I don't know. Does this surprise you at all, Mike?
it surprises me that so they wait, hold on. So did they start with 18,000 job cuts in the last year and now they're adding another 9,000? Or
Yeah, I
was it
think
that
it's
they
because
did
they say it adds to the 18,000 job cuts that have already happened. So this is adding on
so
top of that.
27,000 total?
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's
Hmm.
that's a lot, but Amazon's a really big company. I don't know what the percentage is. I think that matters more than the actual number. Not to say those people don't matter, because obviously
Right.
they definitely do. Just from like a macroeconomic standpoint, it's kind of hard to really analyze, right? Because when the economy's so good, right? Like people are always or companies are always trying to hire and even overhire because it's so difficult to find people that are actually skilled. So you just want to get whoever you can get. I think the problem is that Amazon is like one of the most profitable companies, except for apparently quarter four. That was news to me. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think if you're making that much money, it's like I think you can afford to keep people around longer. Or maybe that's what they've been doing. Maybe they knew they were going to cut close to 30,000 people and they've been giving them 6 months to a year. It's just
Right. Yeah.
wild. Like the whole tech industry and the anything in like startup Silicon Valley tech entrepreneurship is just crazy right now. It's all volatile. You don't know
Yeah.
how
I
secure
know.
your job is.
Yeah,
Um,
man. I mean, it's something like from an outsider's perspective, especially from an outsider's like perspective. I think it's like weird just kind of seeing all these cuts, and it's just like, man, this is like, because like is this where the tech industry is going? Like, is it how many jobs are there actually? Like, how many sustainable jobs are there actually?
yeah,
Um, but, I mean, there's clearly a ton out there. But I mean, and also too, like, it's just think like the video game industry and like esports industry. It's like all these jobs. It's like it's especially these big companies. Like, yeah, it'd be cool to like work at Amazon or something like that. But it's just like now it's like I'd be hesitant to try and even like apply because it's like who's to say I'm gonna have a job in a year or two?
that's true. I mean, I think it's worth noting that the main areas that they focus on is the Amazon Web Services, advertising, Twitch, and human resources. And to me, I'm not like super business savvy, but if I've always understood that human resources is usually the ones making these types of decisions,
Yeah,
and
typically,
they're usually at the round circle because like they're necessary legally to have you
right?
need
Yeah,
human resources. So um, the fact that they're getting let go is probably a bigger red flag than anybody else getting let go. Like advertising, I mean, that is what it is. They're just people advertise all the time. That's one of
yeah,
those positions where I feel like is I'm not like downgrading their skills, but I'm saying that they're usually the first ones to be attacked for some reason when it comes to these things,
yeah,
and the last people to get gone are like the main production force, like the in Amazon's case, it's got to be the computer programmers that are working at Amazon Web Services, right?
yeah,
They
right.
if they're getting cut, it's like, dude, they're cutting the people that are productive
Yeah,
or
right.
supposed to be.
Yeah,
So
no kidding. They're cutting some
it's
smart
a
people.
yeah, and it's definitely raising alarm bells, I think. So
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, it's definitely not something anybody loves to hear. But yeah, man, it is, and they like you said, man, these are key departments. So it just makes it even worse when it's like human resources is being cut. The people that help the employees, are
yeah.
vital to a business. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, who knows? It could be an overhiring thing too. I mean, it's hard to say. And obviously, they're not going to go into detail about it, so we can only speculate. But um, nonetheless, it's still alarming at least a little bit.
Yeah, it's certainly concerning. Um, I don't think this stuff's done for a while though. There's like I don't again, we're just we concentrate on gaming, there are more things that are going on in the year, like in the world,
Yeah,
macroeconomically and like social, politically, that this stuff can get way worse.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
hopefully it
no,
doesn't.
it's
Hopefully things turn around.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I hope so too. But it's like this thing. I mean, 27,000 jobs are being cut in like a year. It's like, whoa. That's
Yeah, and that's just one company.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I unfortunately I don't think we're gonna see
Yeah.
the end of this, at least not this year. But I don't know. Hoping for the best, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we didn't talk about this. Like, let's just mention one thing very briefly. There were two bank collapses that happened in the last week. Remember that? Like a
Yeah,
full like $500 billion disappeared.
which is
Just well,
wild.
not disappeared, but it was wiped out because mismanagement, bank runs. It's like, dude, it's kind of crazy what's going on out here in these streets.
Yeah,
So
it's wild, man. A lot going on,
yeah,
dude.
let's just hope that these people are able to find jobs efficiently, quickly, and nothing like impacts their life dramatically. Like hopefully they get some severance packages and stuff like that where they
Yeah,
can transition and then support the family or support themselves if they're by
yeah,
themselves.
yeah. Well, that's what it sounds like, right? I mean, they were gonna get
Yeah,
severance. They were gonna get job transition
yeah,
assistance and even like transitional health insurance, which is awesome. So yeah,
yeah.
at
But
least
that's
they're taking
actually
care of the
that goes a
people
long way.
at least they're taking care
Yeah,
of the people that they're having to kick out. So
yeah. Hopefully they like keep them on like the short list for people that can come back. You know, like
yeah, very true.
when things turn around and things are less uncertain, um, then they can just bring people back
No,
and give them their jobs back, man, if they even wanna do that, you know?
yeah,
But it's always nice to have options.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, who's to know if people are even gonna want to go back after this? But yeah, it'd be nice to at least be like, hey, we'll think about you. Something comes in, we'll
Yeah,
think about you.
yeah. Just for their confidence, I don't even know.
Yeah. I
But
don't know.
something.
We have a good article next though, about a game
We
that you
do.
love, Mike.
Yes, we do. Okay, so let's get into this one. I'm pretty excited. This one comes from game developer. This might be the first time we've ever even covered game developer before.
Yeah.
Come to think of
Maybe
it.
maybe did something last week, I think, with like GDC. But yeah.
Yeah, possibly. So, without further ado, this is game developer, the writer, contributing editor, Justin Carter. It's about Splitgate, one of my favorite games. And if nobody's ever heard or played Splitgate before, imagine Halo 4 or New Age Halo, but with teleporters. That's probably the best way to explain it. So it's an arena shooter with teleporters. Super fun game. So Splitgate dev 1047 Games adds ex-Ubisoft EA staff and key roles. With its new hires, 1047 Game is aiming to make sure its next project address some of the primary criticisms around his debut title, Splitgate. So 1047 Games, creator of the sci-fi shooter Splitgate, announced a trio of new hires who will take up director roles. The study has brought on Vince. Now I'm the one with bad names. Um, Vincenzo Spina.
Vincenzo, maybe? Chinzo?
Vin,
I think
Vincent.
Vincenzo may be a way I've heard that said. I don't know.
What Kyle said. Dave Wilkinson and Corey Andrus. So Andres will serve as the studio's director of player engagement. His arrival at 1047 is especially noteworthy since, by the developer's own admission in 2022, retaining players for the long term was an issue with Splitgate. That's a fact. So his
Nice.
resume includes leading franchises at 2K, such as Borderlands, NBA 2K, and Civilization, which all I feel like those games retain player engagement for like the
Yeah.
longest.
I've heard of those games, yeah. For sure.
He said I heard of those games. Fair. Um, all three of those franchises are known for having long life cycles with their various installments. Andrew's particular speciality relates to communities and influencers, both of which are vital for live service games. Spina, the new art director, has previously worked at Square Enix, Montreal, and Ubisoft. I mean, I might have heard of those two people or two
Yeah.
companies. The press release calls attention to his time at the latter developer, highlighting all work as the visual design director of Rainbow Six Extraction and Hyperscape. I don't know if that's gonna work for player retention, to be
Oh my
honest, but that
god.
was a fun game.
He said it.
I had to say it.
Uh,
Plus the director of presentation of Far Cry Primal, which I mean, that's
Again, I
actually pretty
mean,
sick.
yeah, you know,
That's pretty sick.
yeah.
So, like Spina, Wilkinson is another Ubisoft alum. He directed animation for Far Cry 5 and directed cinematic animation for its predecessor, Far Cry 4, along with Assassin's Creed 3
Oh,
and
banger.
Child of Light. And at 1047, he'll once again be an animation director. Dude,
Oh,
I'm
banger, dude. Dude,
excited.
Assassin's Creed 3, oh, arguably the best one in my opinion. I know a lot of people probably didn't like that game, but dude, I
Oh
that
no,
game holds a
man.
special place in my heart because, like, dude, just like because that was at a time too where I think it was like in high school, and I was like just getting into like history and stuff like that. So it was at a time where it was like perfect
Oh,
because like
everything
it's
like
because
synced.
it's like 1700s and it's like you
Yeah.
see like it's that time period. I'm just like, dude, I love everything about it. Like gameplay was fun to me. Yeah, just the story overall and just taking place in that time period was like it just really clicked for me. I remember.
So true. That's like Assassin's Creed. I feel like if anybody's into history and they played Assassin's Creed once, and it just grasps you, you know,
Yeah,
like you just fall into a void for at least a couple of months so that you can concentrate on the game and learn as much as you can about the game. And the way Assassin's Creed 3 was for you, Assassin's Creed 4 Flag was for me.
yeah,
'Cause, like, I went to a school for pirates. I always wanted to be a pirate,
yeah,
and one of my favorite games of all time is the Wind Waker, where it's like you're Link sailing around on your own merit, and I'm
yeah,
like, "Wait, I can do this in, like, the Caribbean? One of the most famous locations, North Carolina? Dude, you and I have connections to the Outer Banks."
yeah,
So it's like, it's so synced up.
yeah.
Um, but in terms of Splitgate right here, let's return back to Splitgate. For people that don't know, Splitgate lost a lot of their player base, and they're an indie developer, 1047. Super, super well established, popular game. I think we've talked about it several times. I always felt like what they missed was that I can never represent myself in the game.
Yeah,
So like the skins that were there, they weren't very like they were super unique. They're very beautiful, but it was like nothing could ever be mine.
right.
And I think it lost people by doing that in some way, or I'm not exactly sure why it failed, but 1047 made an announcement probably a year ago about how they're going to take a step back from Splitgate and create Splitgate 2, and these new hires are basically showing like, hey, we're dead set on making Splitgate successful.
Yeah.
So if they can grab these like three absolute legends to come in and help fix their game and add player retention, it's free to play, man. It's like it's gonna be so sick.
Yeah.
So thus far, the biggest change is that'll be done in Unreal Engine 5, dude.
Yes, sir.
Like that's gonna be so good.
Dude, yeah. Yeah, I think for me, Splitgate, it was one of those games I could, and I mean this in the best way possible. It looked like an indie game to me, but it played on that, it played like a AAA title for me, I think. But
It
like, there was something about it that just made me see like, okay, this isn't necessarily a AAA title, but like, it plays really well, and I enjoyed every time I played it. Um, so I mean, I think the fact that they're going back and saying like, "Hey, let's do this right. Let's build this with Unreal Engine 5. Let's make this look like a AAA title and play like one." This is really exciting for me, and I think when they're
yeah.
bringing in this top tier talent, that gets me going. And it's like, all right, like I'm really expecting something great here. And I mean, I think they were definitely onto something with Splitgate, and I think this is going to be their opportunity to say, all right, let's actually like make the game we wanted to make, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think one thing to note about this game is it's an arena shooter without a story. Whereas I think in
Yeah,
the past, arena shooters had a campaign mission and a story and like some type of lore behind it.
yeah.
There was no real lore that people can attach to with
It's
the
true too.
game.
Yeah, it's very true.
Um, I do think that was really cool is the creators. of Splitgate were just massive fans in Halo in general, and you can see that in the gameplay and the weapons.
Right, yeah.
Um, I think that if if they could have attracted a fan base, it would have been the Halo community, but the Halo community is kind of like a stickler of like which Halo is the best. So they only stayed on one certain Halo, you know? They don't like switching often. So I think that kind of hindered their growth aspects. But I will say one of the like the coolest things about Splitgate that a lot of people didn't know is towards the end of Splitgate, they really had a grassroots like indie dev helping, sponsoring, and supporting esports community. They were bringing in some serious orgs, man,
Oh, yeah.
to like run, operate, and like do the leagues, and they were doing everything online, which was kind of lame. But it was like if they could have gotten a little bit more funding to
Yeah.
have their own lands and own events, like this really, really could have popped off. And I'm hoping that with the additions of these guys coming in, I mean, man, like the world's their oyster at that point. They
Yeah.
could really like pop off and be a really good arena shooter. I don't think like what's the best arena shooter right now, honestly?
Yeah, I mean, COD, CS,
Like
like,
it
like,
is I is Counter Strike, you think, an arena
I mean,
shooter?
it's a tactical shooter, I guess. It's not really
Yeah,
technically an
arena.
arena shooter.
Oh, we can get into a philosophical, like a definition debate. Like I always viewed arena shooters as
Technicality
one.
kind of thing.
Yeah, technicality. I think arena shooters is when you can like have multiple lives in a single map that's usually somewhat symmetrical.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um,
I mean, that's fair. Yeah.
yeah. Whereas like Counter Strike's tactical.
Yeah.
It's like an objective base. You only get one life per round kind of thing. Same
Yeah.
thing with Valorant.
And for COD kids out there, it's always search and destroy. No other mode. That's all Counter Strike is. It's always search, and there's like 30 rounds. Good luck. You know.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, no, I will say the idea of a Splitgate event, that would be so. I'd go to a Splitgate event because that'd just be fun to watch. Like, could you imagine watching the pros like with portals and like
Dude,
BRs and DMRs, like dude, and like the pop shots, and
IRL
dude, it'd go
that
hard. Are you kidding me?
IRL would be pretty sick. I used to watch the pro players, the top players, all the time on Twitch, and you know what separated the top players from like ordinary players with just good aim is the portal use, like
Yeah,
using. Like you could teleport across the map so quickly, so rapidly that the movement was just absurd,
yeah,
man.
that's the skill gap
Absolutely absurd.
right there. There's your skill
That
gap.
was yeah, that was honestly probably the only skill gap because the bullet velocity was so high that like as long as your reticle was on the target, you would get the kill
Yeah,
usually. So,
yeah, for
but for
sure.
me, thanks for finding this article because I missed it,
Yeah,
and
telling you, man. Yeah, I hadn't heard
I'm
much
pretty
about it,
excited.
right? Since they announced that they were since they announced they actually were going for kind of a remake. I hadn't heard much
Yeah,
about it, and so when I saw this, I was like, we got to talk about it. I'm excited. Like articles like this get me excited about the game even more, which is always a plus. So
that's a fact.
come on,
You know what else we
1047.
got to talk about?
Come on, baby. What we got to talk about,
We got
Mike?
to talk about a bit of artificial intelligence. I think.
Again, second week in a row, right? Talking about some
Yeah,
AI. AI seems to be the hot button topic, especially in the game development world. And GDC, I think that was like that's the word you drink to when you go to GDC is AI. Like AI this, AI
it
that.
really
Like,
is.
so, yeah. And this is actually an article from Polygon. Can AI really make a video game? And this is kind of I guess a philosophical piece about, AI's involvement in making games and where the future might be. But yeah, so it says scrolling through Twitter and lurking in artificial intelligence communities over the past few months, I've seen a lot of big claims. In a few days since OpenAI unveiled its GPT-4 model, those those have only intensified. And thread after thread, people are claiming that ChatGPT can develop games. An AI is so advanced that it can program a game that real people can play. Sounds like science fiction or a far off future, but actually, game developers and enthusiasts already use AI technology all the time. Developers and AI enthusiasts have used ChatGPT to recreate classic games like Pong, Tetris, and Snake. Developers have also used it to write code for original games and to generate story ideas and dialogue for text-based role-playing games. In a combination of these ideas, someone recently asked the AI model to turn the Game Boy Advance game Pokemon Emerald into a text adventure. Some AAA studios are also looking to integrate advanced AI as a tool for writing dialogue in games. For some, ChatGPT's impact seems big enough to drastically alter our world. Others aren't so sure, questioning the capability of this new technology beyond the surface level dazzle. Chatbots and AI have been around for quite some time. There's no denying that OpenAI's OpenAI's iteration is significant, but its real impact is yet to be seen. Despite the near constant chatter about AI on social media and in the news, let's take a step back and break down how the technology works in order to understand how ChatGPT works in turn and how it currently is being used, and also about the future of games. This is a very long article. I'm not going to try and sit here and read everything verbatim. But yeah, the article pretty much goes on to talk about what is ChatGPT and why is everyone talking about it. It's an open AI platform. You essentially you can ask it any questions, and it gives some of the most intelligent responses and to these questions that we've probably ever seen an AI model do. I mean, is that fair to say, Mike? It's pretty insane.
Yeah, it's pretty wild from a commercial standpoint with open use. Anybody can come in and just sign up for Chat GPT and get in there and start messing with it and see what happens.
Yeah,
It's pretty phenomenal what the AI is able to do. Have
yeah, no.
you personally used it yet?
I don't think I've used it myself. I actually, funny enough, had a coworker use it on my job, and he was actually able to get some assistance on a programmer piece he was actually stuck on, which I thought was really funny, but really interesting. That he was actually able to use it to help him out a little bit. And yeah, it literally does. It quite literally writes code to it may not be the best thing, but it literally does. So, article does go on to talk about ChatGPT and it's how it's actually being used to create these very basic bare bones style of games. This article does go on to talk about Ubisoft. There was another article that came out about Ubisoft's Ghostwriter, which is their AI platform that they use for their development in their development stack. And then so I want to skip down a little bit in this article to when they talk about big studios actually using AI. And they said AI is a huge part of video games. Non-playable characters can be controlled by AI and react to player input. AI is used in both companion characters and enemies. Some multiplayer games make extensive use of AI to make playing against a computer more like playing against another human. And we see this all the time. You join up a bot lobby in Call of Duty or Halo. You see these, they aren't real players, right? They're bots, and you can adjust the difficulty and scale that. Procedural generation can also make use of AI. Ubisoft's Watch Dogs Legion and Minecraft work in that way. But if we're talking about GPT-4 and ChatGPT specifically, it's likely too new to have been integrated in a AAA game as of right now. But some major studios intend to use similar tech. NetEase, for one, vowed in February to include a ChatGPT-like model for its Chinese MMO, Ashwanan. I'm probably saying that wrong. Players will be able to chat freely with characters in the game, according to the South China Morning Post. NetEase expects to use conversational AI in more games, too, to vary new game tasks and content. More recently, and by recent, I mean this past week at GDC, Ubisoft unveiled a generative AI tool with an accompanying blog post. The tool is called Ghostwriter, and it's intended to help video game writers, not replace them, Ubisoft said. I guess they're very specific there. We're not trying to, get rid of jobs here. But Ghostwriter effectively generates first drafts of barks, phrases, or sounds made by NPCs during a triggered event, which gives scriptwriters more time to polish the narrative elsewhere. Ubisoft's Roxanne Barth wrote, describing the tool created by Ubisoft's R&D scientist Ben Swanson. Once a character has been created, Ghostwriter will generate dialogue barks based off specific needs, and the writer will then pick and edit the responses. Ubisoft didn't say which or if any current projects are using the tool, but that Swanson is not supporting Ghostwriter into its production processes. Very interesting. Very interesting take there. Yeah, like, is this a tool that game writers want? Ubisoft says so. It's the results of conversations with narrative designers who revealed a challenge, one that been identified could be solved by an AI tool. But there's been an immediate and mixed response on social media following Swanson's GDC talk. There are people who see the tool as a way to free up game writers to work on more creatively fulfilling projects. To some, writing Barks is creatively fulfilling. It's the lines people hear repeatedly in video games and should be treated with such importance. Others are worried that the tech will erase entry level game jobs. Junior writers are sometimes tasked with writing the Barks. Tools like ChatGPT and Ghostwriter will have an impact on the labor of making video games, but there's no consensus just yet on what the impact will be. I think that is where it's kind of like the biggest question mark right now when it comes to integrating AI with game development is like,
Yeah.
how far is this going to go? And is it going to get to a point where it does replace some positions? And that's the thing is I think there is potential for that, which is kind of like, I think it's the scary part, you know?
Well, we talked about it last week, right? So it's definitely going to happen that AI is going to be taking jobs. At the same time, AI in this aspect is kind of a free service right now because this is like bare bones, right? Chat GPT is a free service. If you do GPT-4, it does cost money. It's $20 a month. But if they are worried about entry level game jobs, I mean, like, how's that any different than like unpaid internships? You know,
Yeah, it's
like
true.
really, really what we're getting at. So um, the little knickknacks here and there for the NPCs to just like shout and say things like with the player interacting, being in the atmosphere to like really give life to a game. I think that shouldn't steal a job, you know. I think it should alleviate some time, like pressure, creativity, because it's not going to be perfect. You're still going to need people to vet it and like
Yeah,
verify it and edit it. In this standpoint, but eventually we're going to get to the point where AI could literally write everything, and at that point,
very true.
I think that takes away the creativity. You know, takes away the art of and the experience. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about it, but for me, it's like I really like to be involved in a story knowing that another human created it because that alone is inspiring, you know?
Yeah.
That somebody was that capable of creating something. When it's an AI doing it, it's just like, well, you're just a computer simulation. How do I know this is real? Like all of a
Yeah.
sudden we're trapped in the matrix. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, very
So
true. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I think that's another kind of side of the coin to look at is like, how much more impactful is the story going to be or the characters or how much more impactful is a game going to be on you if it's actually not written by other humans? And it's I don't know, yeah, I haven't thought about that. It's a good point though. I don't know how I would feel about that. It's just like yeah, it's like cuz like yeah, when you're playing stuff or at least like I know when I'm playing stuff, it's like if I'm playing like a Last of Us game, it's like, dude, like it's like like Neil Druckmann nailed that, or like whoever the writer was, like nailed that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And it's like, dude, that is so good. Like, and you appreciate that more because you're like, yeah, that person nailed that. It's like if an AI does it, it's like, yeah, dude, that robot nailed that. Doesn't have the same ring to it. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Like it goes into what we talked about before, man. It's like with the whole like video games are actually art in a way.
Yeah,
And if you don't take it as an expression of oneself, then you're missing the point in a lot of ways. It's like there's a story to be told in every game. Like every rendition, every rendering, every story, especially the storytelling. It's like, how are you gonna have an AI really do that? It's like having an AI paint the Mona Lisa, you
yeah,
know? Like it's
yeah,
just not right. You know, it's like it's gonna happen. Don't get me wrong. It's gonna happen, but it's like, are you going to emotionally feel the same way?
yeah. And I don't know, for a lot of people, probably not, and they may not even realize it. So yeah,
That's true.
well,
It could impact nothing. Like some people just would not even notice, not care.
yeah, right.
So, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's a interesting thing. There's like so many directions you can go with like how AI would affect like, gaming in general. I think it's yeah, you could debate that for a while, I think. But just the emotional impact.
yeah, I think. probably the one thing I wish AI was more used for, and maybe it will be in the future, is there are old games that cannot be ported to new software and new like hardware and stuff like that. If AI can just do all of that work for like basically anybody, that would be amazing because usually you need like a massive team to make that happen.
Yeah.
Like something as simple as having like, let's say you want to play Quake 2. It's like sometimes you can't play Quake 2 because this was made in 96,
Yeah.
1996, and you want to play it on Windows 11. It's like most games don't work on Windows 11 right now. I don't know if you've been reading, but like Windows 11 is kind of bugged. So it's like imagine an AI that's just like, here's all of the source code, here's everything, make it work for this new software, and it does it in like a day.
Yeah.
How amazing would that be?
That would be
So
pretty sick.
I the point I'm trying to get at is I think that AI is definitely useful, and I hope it's used in a way that doesn't like take away people's jobs and it just like adds more value to people, like their time. So it's like it makes your job more efficient. It's more like like calculators on your phone. Like it makes you so much more hyper efficient. If we can use AI to make our jobs more efficient and then still get paid the same, still get to spend time with our family and do things that we love, that'd be great. So I
Yeah, for
think that's
sure.
the balance.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah, I mean, I think yeah, seeing like AI be able to upres a game or like kind of remaster a game essentially without the need of a
Yeah,
team.
exactly.
That'd be pretty sick. I like that because then people
Especially
could
games that
focus
are
on
like
yeah,
yeah, especially games that aren't very popular. Because realistically, there are games that like have a cult following, but there's like realistically like 1,000 people that would actually play it.
yeah,
And that's not enough incentive for a major corporation like we talked about. Geez, name any of the major brands. Square Enix.
yeah,
Like there's no incentive for them to go and upgrade one of their games when it's only 1,000 people that care about it. But if you have
yeah,
like an AI that will do it for free, it's like, yeah, why not?
yeah. Exactly.
So
Why not, man? Yeah. Um. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think that'd be the sickest. That'd be the sickest iteration of AI. I think in the current space. They could just remaster a game or upscale the textures, make it look like a modern title. That'd be pretty rad.
that was that would certainly be my favorite.
Yeah,
There's
for
some
sure.
games that I really want to see
For
running
sure.
on new hardware.
We could go on forever, Mike, but I think it's the perfect
We
transition
could.
because we got to talk about some retextures and some something for another game that's still breaking a
Oh,
million plus player count every single day, and it's 11 years old. It's Counter Strike 2, Mike. Got to
yes,
talk
it
about
is.
it.
Yeah, thanks for the transition. That was actually pretty good. Um, not that you don't do that good all the time, my bad. So, with the thing with Counter Strike 2 is we've mentioned it several times on the podcast about how it's been rumored for what, a month, 2 months now?
Yeah, about a month.
And yeah, so basically, Valve has officially announced as of the day we are recording, and it's not really going to be open to most people, but you got to log in and double check that you got the invite to it, is Counter Strike 2, and it's a free replacement for CSGO. So I don't know where to start, really. This is just awesome.
Yeah, yeah, for real.
um, let's just go ahead and start with Emma Roth, who we've covered countless times. Oh, there's a trio on this article. This is our first trio, I think.
The triple header
Um,
right here.
Yeah. Emma Roth, Mitchell Clark, and Sean Hollister. That's what happens when you have the pinnacle first person shooter as your you need to have everybody involved. It's out from The Verge. So The Verge titled this article, Valve announced Counter-Strike 2 a free replacement for Counter-Strike Go. The new Counter-Strike is overhauled every system and moving to sub-tick gameplay and a bigger, brighter, and more responsive refresh to the long running first person shooter. We're talking about a game that's like 11 years old, man.
It's old.
About time they got an
It's
update.
old, man. It's
About
about
time.
time, dude.
So let's get into it. So Counter Strike 2 is official, and for some, is coming today. In a post on Twitter, Valve writes that a limited test for Counter Strike 2 is starting today, which is described as an overhaul to every system, every piece of content, every piece of CS experience. A website for the game describes it as the largest technical leap forward in Counter Strike's history and promises years of updates and new features. The full game is expected to release in summer 2023, and according to the game's FAQ, it will be free to play. Oh
You already know,
my
baby.
gosh, dude.
CS:GO. You had to pay for CS:GO, not
You
Counter
did.
Strike 2. You know.
It's gonna be kinda nuts because I don't know if you know anything about Counter Strike. The loot system, like the skin system, it
That
has
skin
its own
economy, bro.
economy.
That
It's
economy pops
insane,
off.
man.
It goes so
One of
hard.
my buddies, he literally just posted, he got an email from somebody saying they went into his inventory. He hasn't played Counter Strike in months. Okay. They emailed him and he showed it like in Discord. He's like, "Hey man, like look at this. It's a butterfly knife that he's had for like years and is going for $1,000 in the skin economy." It's just like, what the hell, man? Like, it's crazy. So let's go ahead and get into what Counter Strike 2 is all about. So Counter Strike 2 is based in Valve's Source 2 engine and includes updates to some of the game's core mechanics, including an improved smoke grenades and sub-tick updates that Valve says will let servers know the exact instant that motion starts, a shot is fired, or nade is thrown. A video also appears to show someone clearing grenade smoke with another grenade. The game will also have revamped maps, better visuals, UI enhancements, and reworked audio and more. So you're actually showing it for the people that are watching the video. Overall, if you're listening to us and you can't watch the video for whatever reason, you should watch YouTube, Spotify, all the other platforms that we have. We do have this in video format, but they basically reformatted the smoke grenade and how the geometry works. So if you have like if you're shooting through the smoke, if you blow up a grenade next to the smoke, it impacts where the smoke disbursement is. So it'll actually like clear out hallways, clear out shots. Like your shots will clear out of view so you can actually see people now. It's so nutty.
Yeah.
Um, they
It's
also
it's just so
it
dynamic, dude. Like,
it is.
yeah,
It's so fluid, man.
like it
It's so
just
fluid. We're talking
it's how smoke should be. I mean, it shows there's even reflections off the smoke. Like the smoke has its
yeah,
own like it's wild, dude. It's like it's much more realistic, I think.
yeah.
And yeah, dude, it just looks so good. Ah, so good.
Just the game basically like, the game originated and came out in, like, 2012 or something like that. They didn't have the capabilities to make the smoke dynamic like that, where you can just, like, impact it with other grenades. You can make it like an open world environment almost, like, open world in the sense that the environment impacts your overall play style and what's going on. Like, almost like, weather effects is probably
Yeah,
the best
it's
description I could
true.
give.
Yeah,
And it's very interesting that they basically upgrade that seamlessly for people. All they had to do is just like do an update, download it, install it, you're good to go. And the
yeah,
visuals overall, they look fantastic. It was so desperately needed, man.
yeah, for
Like
sure.
everything just looks so smooth, so crisp. And I'm pretty excited for it.
To say the least. Oh,
And apparently like Valve has gone out and basically said that there's more to come. So keep in mind, this is essentially a beta. And it's a closed beta, invite only. And you know what? I'm actually gonna open up my Steam right now so I can see if my stuff's loaded. I would love to know if I got a Counter Strike 2 invite. But basically, what ends up happening is their rule is that your account has to be in good standing, and you have to have played relatively recently. And I think at that point, you're mostly just like luck of the draw, might get in. I
yeah,
saw Simple, one of the game's absolute legends, didn't get an invite.
that's
Um,
wild.
I don't know if he was clout farming or not, but that was pretty
That's
insane.
that's. I feel like that's false. You know, I don't
It's
wanna.
crazy, man.
It's crazy.
So also Shroud tweeted out yesterday and he basically said tomorrow. This is all he said, like his tweet, tomorrow.
He's playing
And
CS.
then
He's playing
yep,
CS2, baby.
yep. And then CS2 goes, and I'm like, I click on Twitch, he goes, his title was just like, I knew this whole time. It's like, of course you knew. You're like
Yeah,
beloved in the community and the
yeah.
developers, man.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, dude, like that's essentially where we're at with Counter Strike. We're on the new horizons of the most popular first person shooter of all time. breaking records left and right. We just talked about it 2 episodes ago about how Counter-Strike is basically continually getting more and more active users and more viewers at the tournaments like Brazil. Remember the Brazil championship, the
Yeah.
Brazil major, Rio de Janeiro one? That thing was insane. And now
Yeah.
you got Counter-Strike 2 coming out, most beautiful game I think I've seen in a long time on a new engine. GG's, bro. GG's.
GG's. Also, the article actually shows a part of Overpass, which is a map in CS:GO. They have a nice little transition. So this is the old, for those watching the video, this is the old map in the original in CS:GO.
Mhm.
And then if you pan over, you can see that exact same shot in CS2. Much more vibrant colors, much more foliage, much more. The shadows, but everything about it. It's upgraded. Looks good.
Yeah, it seemed like the thing that they were most proud of was the overall lighting and the smoke mechanic now,
Yeah.
because they basically rebuilt everything. And the coolest thing is like they made the game overall function better, like having better tick rates and stuff like that, so that now your shots register more clearly, like where you're aiming, it makes things more fluid. It's been so needed, so needed. When you play a game like Valorant or you play a game like Overwatch, and then you go back to CS:GO, it just doesn't feel as smooth. But with
Yeah.
the new Counter Strike, man, it could be a hit.
Could be. I mean, this thing too. They also mentioned in the article a little bit about they're doing like a tier system of maps. And my
Yeah,
favorite thing is that they're gonna have the touchstone maps, which are like kind of the base thing. Dust 2 is obviously one of them, most iconic CS:GO map, like arguably most iconic CS map. That's just gonna be getting like kind of minor visual tweaks. It's not really gonna be altered too much, as
right.
compared to some of the other, like, I guess, maps in the other tiers where it's actually gonna be like it's gonna add Source 2 features and like it's gonna be like complete rebuilds and whatnot. It seems like some maps, like some of the iconic ones, like Dust 2, aren't getting won't really get an adjustment because people just love that map so much. If people were to change it, if they were to change it, people would probably be pissed. So it's
Yeah,
good
you're
that
not
they're kind
gonna.
of keeping those maps intact, I think.
Yeah, if there's anything that Valve knows is not to change anything. Because they haven't changed much of anything for the last 10 years.
Yeah,
So the fact that they're just making the game feel mechanically better and everything hits better, shot registration's better, shot fired better, nade throws, everything just more smooth, and it just looks better. That's like some things that people just want, man.
yeah,
Like they play Counter-Strike for what Counter-Strike is. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
yeah. Do you think a lot of people are going to come back for CS2? Maybe even for a competition level, are going to come back and compete again, dude?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think the level of competition's definitely changed. The metas have changed because the game's just been out for so long. You're not gonna be having the same meta that you had season one. So it's it's one of those things where people are definitely gonna come back. People are definitely gonna be streaming again. And this is one of the most popular games of all time. It has never dropped off, really.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
of course they're gonna come back.
yeah.
Like
It's
it's a
it,
solid year is gonna be insane.
yeah. No kidding, no kidding. It's wild to me too. Just when I think about it, we're almost at 3 years with Valorant, which is like crazy to think about. Game's almost 3. And we're getting
It's
CS2, baby.
wild.
Another tactical shooter. It's crazy, dude.
It's much
It's
needed
been a
though.
while. I mean, it's such a gap between Valorant and this too that I think this could have serious potential. Pop. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's
So
definitely gonna pop. It's Counter Strike. It's
yeah,
definitely gonna pop. Like
yeah,
100% gonna
true.
pop. It's gonna break every record possible, guaranteed. I haven't played like Counter Strike in over a year or two, and I just updated it right now. Like we're running it back, baby.
Telling you. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you mentioned it. I think you mentioned subtick.
Yeah,
Like now tick rates. Like the old tick rate system is being revamped with sub tick rates, so it makes
it needed to
it's
be.
like not it's the inputs aren't solely dedicated on the exact tick time. It's kind of offset just based. It tries to send it based on whenever the input is like placed. So it should make for much more accurate, gunfights and just kind of like it'll just make the game a lot smoother, I think. So, um, God, it's exciting stuff. I'm definitely gonna be checking out that gameplay. First stream I'm going to, and it ain't even Shroud. You already know who it is, baby.
But Wait, the first stream for
First,
CS2?
the first streamer you think I'm gonna watch play CS2? Who do you think it's gonna be? It's an easy one. It's an easy one.
I know who mine's gonna be because I tuned into Shroud because it's Shroud,
Yeah,
right? Like I just opened up Twitch and he was up on the top of the leaderboard. But the one that I want to see play it is Summit. That's mine.
yeah,
Is
that's
that
mine too,
yours?
dude. That's it.
Yeah.
Summon 1G. You already know I'm gonna
Summit
pop into
1G,
some
man.
stream, baby. Hey, watching that. That's
Some
gonna be sick. Oh, I'm excited, man.
It's gonna be pretty cool, man. It really is. I'm I'm excited to see Counter Strike come back. I mean, we can't even say that it can't come back. I'm excited to see it be updated. It's been way too long. This is way too big of a loyal fan base. Too much of a cult following.
Man, dude,
Everybody
yeah.
at this point has had to have played Counter Strike, right?
I mean, yeah, this is at a point. I think it's kind of the point where like CS:GO is gonna get its flowers. Kind of like this is it. Like you're getting this new game, but like this is all like this game wouldn't exist obviously without like CS Source and like CS 1.6
Yeah.
and CS:GO, and it's like this is the culmination of that, and it's really gonna I think make people appreciate CS a little bit more. Just get that overhaul. I mean, it's a huge deal, man. So it's coming summer of 2023. I'm excited to see all the pre-alpha gameplay, all the early access gameplay, I guess I should say. It's exciting times, Mike. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Yeah. We're just a few months away and they're not revealing all their cards yet.
Yeah, which is also exciting.
It's gonna be sick.
I mean, what they showed so far is like it's meta changing. It's gonna be game changing. Like just the smokes and stuff. The fact that there's a solid counter to smokes now, that's gonna be
seeing
that insane. Is gonna be nuts.
Do you know that's gonna change the way people buy now because it basically nerfs the smoke, right? And it buffs the grenades.
Yeah.
Because if anybody uses a smoke, then you can just have two guys nade a hallway. That smoke's gone.
Yeah.
Instantly. So you're basically able to cancel out smoke now.
Yeah. And like that's the thing, like routes where you see people where they throw up smokes to try and rotate, or they like throw up a smoke to try and bait. It's like that can easily get like canceled, so they can see, okay, are they actually rotating or are they just baiting, and then that changes the whole play. It changes the entire play. So
yeah, and dude, there are gonna be some people that are gonna get exposed. And the other thing that's gonna happen is like now flashes are gonna be way more valuable.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
So I wonder if the in-game economy will change because of that. Probably should.
Yeah. It's a good question. I mean, yeah, I think they're obviously gonna do some updates. We'll certainly find out on launch, but who knows, man? The economy is definitely going to be different, I think. Oh, man.
I'm looking forward to it.
CS experience. Ugh.
I think without further ado, we need to get to our last article because we're running a little bit behind schedule over here.
Here we are. Well, we don't have much of an update on the last article, but we just wanted to bring to your attention that there was, in fact, some more European Commission news about the Activision Blizzard deal. More specifically, that the deal has officially been delayed. So European Commission is actually postponing the decision to approve the Activision Blizzard acquisition until May 22nd, and it was originally April 25th. So yeah, I mean, we were approaching just a month away, and now they're extending it another month, essentially. So yeah, European Commission will decide on whether to approve or deny the deal on May 22nd. Originally scheduled for April, the decision was delayed so that the Commission is able to review more feedback from Microsoft's rivals and customers before deciding one way or the other. This will also give Microsoft time to offer its games and Activision Blizzard titles to other services. It most recently made a deal with streaming companies Boosteroid, Ubisoft, which you see games, which we talked about. We talked about that last week of, you just see Microsoft offering these insane deals. It's thought the Commission will approve the deal. Microsoft recently offered a 10-year deal to Nintendo, which would see COD games released on Switch systems. The same offer was extended to Sony, but the company has balked at any deals presented by Microsoft as of press time. It has even gone as far as stating the company could potentially sabotage COD on PlayStation platforms and draw more customers to more optimized versions released on Xbox consoles. We talked about it. We ain't going to reiterate that again. He said enough. Sony's completely against it, but Microsoft is doing everything they possibly can to try and get this deal on as many cloud platforms as possible to prove a point of, we're not trying to be hostile. We just want to help these studios out. we want to give more options to more people, and this is kind of the way of doing that. And they're offering these extensions, and as and some would say rightfully so. Sony is kind of they don't want to take the bait because they think that there's more to this deal than Microsoft's letting on. But yeah, European Commission's giving them more time. What do you think, Mike? You think that's deserved time? You think that increases the odds of Microsoft or decreases the odds of them getting this deal?
Ooh, I can't say whether or not it increases or decreases, right? But I think my theory is I can be completely wrong, but my theory is that they push back the date to get closer to what the US might be deciding. I think this is really going to come down to the FTC and Federal Trade Commission in the United States about what they want to do. Only because we mentioned several times, it's like if the European Union and even the British, I can't remember their regulatory agency, if they made a decision before the FTC in the United States, when these companies are all basically based in the United States, how would that overall affect the way the FTC grades or judges the acquisition? Um, I think they're just, like, pushing it back because of that. They wanna give, like, the US more time to take a look themselves, but I can't really say right now. What do you think? Do you think it's something along those lines
Yeah, I
or
mean
what?
it's really hard to say. I mean, I agree. It's kind of hard to say. Um, I mean, this certainly gives Microsoft more time to try and kind of prove themselves. Of like, we're not. This isn't
Oh,
like a
certainly.
hostile situation. This is like we're trying to we're trying to show you that we are in good faith. Certainly gives them more time to do that, and I'll be interested to see how well they take advantage of this extra time that they're being offered. Um, but also, to me, it all depends on what the European Commission ultimately decides, and it's through their investigation that will ultimately determine whether or not they actually approve this deal. And if they don't approve it, I mean, a rewrite's going to be needed, and some restructuring is going to be needed if they still want to move forward with it, which I'm sure Microsoft, to a certain extent, will want to move forward with it. Um, but yeah, I mean, it just increasingly, yeah, I mean, a delay I honestly wasn't expecting. I figured, April 25th, that was going to be it. We were going to
Yeah,
decide from
same.
there, but yeah, I mean, the fact that they were willing to delay it, I think, could also mean that maybe they. I mean, it shows that they are having trouble deciding whether or not they think this is good or not, and they need more time. So that could be in Microsoft's favor because they could be like, okay, well then maybe because they may be seeing all these acquisitions, like, hey, maybe Microsoft's onto something, but um, let's just make sure we give adequate time for ourselves to review everything. But this only gives Microsoft more ammo and
It really does.
more opportunities. So um, yeah, I think in a certain sense this probably will increase their odds to actually seal a deal. Um, but yeah, time will tell ultimately.
Yeah, I think as long as they keep going the same route of just offering a 10-year deals to whoever will accept it,
Yeah,
which it seems to be their overall goal. If they
yeah,
can keep going that way, I mean, come on, man. They're like, how's the commissions gonna say no?
yeah. I mean,
Realistically,
yeah,
like it's a
I'm there with
monopoly.
you.
I signed all these deals with everybody.
For
You
at
know what I
least a
mean?
decade, and who knows, I could extend after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just
So.
like just give me Tony Hawk, man.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, there's a it. I think this whole year is going to be an absolute mess with this acquisition, personally. Because like, okay, so think about this, right? We have all these different organizations that and companies that are basically making layoffs. Is the $68.7 billion evaluation from last year, close to 2 years ago, is that accurate for what it should be evaluated as now? Because Activision Blizzard has had layoffs, and they haven't had the best of sales with like certain games that they've released.
Yep.
So, is it really in Microsoft to like? It's hard to say now because it's like inflation takes into account as well. But it's is the $68.7 billion price tag that Microsoft placed on Activision Blizzard or Blizzard placed on themselves to be purchased, is that accurate for the year 2023 with everything that's going on?
Yeah, and that's honestly a good point. Like how relevant is that price tag now? A year out. And yeah, that's a good point. But I also think to a certain extent, it's like, well, they they sealed it at this price, so I doubt they would try and I mean, they would still try to, of course, get the deal done at this price. But that could be something European Commission looks at and says, all right, well, maybe you need to pay a little more now or a little less. Like, well, maybe a little more. They wouldn't make them pay less, but
no shot.
But yeah, they'd be like, yeah, maybe it's maybe you need to like cough up a little more now or restructure this to in today's economic uncertainty, as these companies are saying. So it's a good point.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens if it doesn't go through. More so than I think it's pretty predictable what will happen if it does go through.
Right.
But if it doesn't go through, how does that impact Activision Blizzard as a brand? How does that impact like the overall leadership in the company and how they operate? Because it's like they should be transitioning right now to be acquired, right?
Yeah.
Like they're probably high level execs that are like, when this clears, baby, I'm Alpha Cabo. I'm gone. You're not gonna see me again. But it's like all of a sudden you're not acquired, not getting that bonus money. You're stuck.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think without further ado, did we pretty much cover this week in review, didn't we not?
I think so. Yeah, that was pretty much all of it. I will say one thing we didn't mention, and we may mention next week, but Fortnite just recently announced their own Forge mode essentially that allows you to build like any game inside Fortnite. So
Yeah.
that was crazy, but we didn't cover that this week. But that is certainly an article that depending upon the amount of traction it gets this week, we may end up putting that on next week's schedule.
That's on next week's schedule for sure. Because like I saw the clip just a few minutes ago, like before we started the podcast, and that clip looked insane, man.
Yeah,
you had Doom guy holding the Crucible, fighting dragons. Like what?
Yeah,
that's in Fortnite now.
It's wild.
Like,
yeah, that's in like their own like Forge mode, quote unquote. Their own builder.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's insane. They got a lot. There's a lot you can work with now in Fortnite. So it's just Epic doing epic things. Might I say? Pun intended.
Yeah, Unreal Engine 5 in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But I think we pretty much held everybody's time up for as long as we possibly could. We're well over an hour. I can't believe I thought we were going to be under an hour before we started.
Every week, Mike. Every week.
Every week, man. Every week.
Be like that.
Well, it'd be like that for sure. But let's let the people go. We'll tune in next week. It's the end of the month. The week after that, we're going to be covering new releases for the month of, what are we at? Like May, March,
April.
Dude, April. That's
April's got some good releases, but next week is in fact it might be this week.
Oh,
it's this week. It's out now. Like, go play it now. You know what I'm saying? Resident Evil 4 remake is out now, ladies and gentlemen.
That's a fact.
Play that game. I've heard good things. So
it has a lot of hype.
Yeah, a lot of reviewers have gotten trying to play it, and embargo lifted, and everyone's like, yeah, this is good. So yeah.
Dude, the thing that blew my mind is like Resident Evil 4 was on GameCube, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. That was when it like first launched, right? So
yeah, it's so crazy that it like, I feel like a dunce for not actually like getting into it and playing it.
Yeah.
Also, another thing on the 28th, which is next week, 6 days, 5 days. Last of Us Part 1 is going to PC.
That's true too.
So we got that going on.
That could be a good game to test out my new hardware on. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, bro, actually, I need to add a game to the list of games that I compete. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or complete.
Sure. Yeah, I saw. I also saw more footage on Dead Island 2. It's coming out next month. It actually looks good. It looked graphically pretty good. So I don't know, got me hyped.
That's
good.
I'm
excited.
Well, as long as it's finished.
Yeah. Hopefully.
As long as
Yeah. Seemed like it for the 10 minutes of perfectly curated gameplay I saw, but
of course,
when the game comes out.
Not rendered at all. Not in a perfect environment. Don't worry.
No. We'll see, dude.
I'm kind of bearish on that, to be honest.
Don't worry,
all right, so let's let the people go. We've talked enough. Thanks for listening to us ramble towards the end of this podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to go ahead and catch up any of the stories that we cover, we post all of them in the Discord. But if you want to reach out to us, we're on Twitter as well, and the links are all in the description below. So, without further ado, my name is MadMikeWillEatU. This is Kyle Heath. This is the M2 podcast. This has been episode, where are we at? 11? The
11.
double ones?
Double one.
Double ones.
1,
Heck yeah.
2.
Yep. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.